Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. April 12th, 2018.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
2:05 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, Kuhner Country, a lot to talk about. Later this hour, you don't want to miss it. Trump now guts Obama's policies on welfare. He is now bringing back welfare reform, or in particular, workfare. Should able-bodied adults who are healthy on food stamps or Medicaid, should they be forced to work? Or at least get training or do volunteer work? Or should there be work requirements if you are going to be taking taxpayer-funded help? We're going to discuss and debate that. But first, I have a column up on WRKO.com/Kuhner, Kuhner. Trump must fire Mueller. I'm urging all of you, please, it makes the case for why the president needs to act now before it's too late. Go to WRKO.com/Kuhner. Click on menu, Kuhner's Corner. That's where all my columns are. Please click on Trump must fire Mueller. There it is. Read it. Pass it on to as many people as possible. We need to get the message out. You just heard Evan Heidenrich. The news is now breaking. So Trump, now speaking at a Rose Garden event, has now said that his administration, in particular the CIA and the Pentagon, have now done what they say is a test on some of the chlorine gas that was used in the chemical weapons attack in Syria. According now to our intelligence sources, they claim that, yes, it was a chemical weapons attack, that it did occur, they're quite confident, and that they're saying satellite photos and imagery shows that Assad's forces were most likely the ones behind the chemical weapons attack. Now, the president didn't say we're 100% certain, 110%, absolute certainty. The word that was used is confident. We're confident. So, is that enough to justify a potential bombing campaign or war in Syria? Or do you smell a setup? 617-266-6868. And once the bombs start falling, and it probably will happen this weekend, will you rally around the president because now our country will be at war? Or is it time to join an anti-war movement? 617-266-6868. Charles in Boston, you're up first. Thanks for holding and welcome.
Jeff. So many things to talk about, but he's being set up. Why he is believing the deep state, I have no idea. These people are sworn to his undermining. And the fact that the politicians are so quick to put the blood of our war fighters blows my mind. I come from a family of war fighters.
Charles, can you do me a favor? Charles, your cell phone connection is horrible. We're going to try to reestablish it. I know you come from a family of people who have served, so I definitely want to get you on. So let's try to get established reconnection, and hopefully we can get back to you. Let's go to Bill in Andover. You're up next. Go ahead, Bill.
Hey, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Bill?
Very good. Hey, Jeff, full disclosure, I'm a Kuhner Country member. I stood with you and Sean on the State House steps for the immigration protest and the Kerry Clinton nuke protest. So I'm with you all the way.
Bill, thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you for that.
Same to you, sir. I'm a Navy veteran, Jeff. My dad was in the Marines, and, I joined to serve the country. I wanted to do something, I didn't want to kill anybody, but I wanted to serve. So I went in the Navy. You're a history buff, right, Jeff? So
yes.
When I went in, Iran and Iraq were killing each other in hundreds hundreds of thousands of numbers that I can remember. And it kind of climaxed at one point when I think Iraq used the chemical weapon,
yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So at that time, it was very tumultuous, and the Russians were there, but they were back in their side. We were back in our side, which ended up being Iran at the time. And when I was in school in the Navy, we were training the Iranian Navy at the same time. I know a lot of people don't know that, but we were buddies with Iran at the time. Who's buddies with Iran now? Russia. It keeps going back and forth, Jeff. I definitely feel this is a setup. I feel you and Carl Tucker are 100% correct. Stand your ground. A lot of people stand with you. We're standing with the president. And everything you're saying today, great show. A lot of people, great knowledge and everything. But my part of the history was watching this. Now you say, where are the chemicals coming from if it's not Assad? Well, during the Second Gulf War, the north of Iraq was not covered at all. And all the bad guys fled out of Iraq, and tons of chemical weapons left. And that was the WMD that Iraq had. They didn't have
Bingo.
the nuke or anything.
Bingo. Bill, absolutely brilliant. Brilliant.
Anybody knows where all that chemical is, Jeff? You know, you got a couple of camel herders here, a couple over there, and it went all over the place. Nobody knows what's in Syria. And why do you think there's a civil war? Because you know the bad. How many terrorist groups are in Syria, Jeff? At least 10.
Bill, you got to call me more often, my friend. Thank you, and thank you for your service, Bill. God bless you. Look, he hit. This to me is the money quote. During the build up to, you want to know the big mistake? There were many mistakes in the Iraq War, but maybe the biggest mistake of the Iraq War was that Bush deferred to Blair. Remember, Blair didn't want to go in right away. Blair said, I want to take this to the United Nations. You remember that? So it went on for like 6 to 8 months. They were deliberating at the UN, and Blair said, I need UN support to help shore up my domestic support in Great Britain. So we telegraphed. We basically were telling Saddam, we're coming, we're coming, we're coming, we're coming. So that massive delay is when Saddam said, I'm going to really stick it to Bush. You're coming after me for the chemical weapons, the WMDs. I'm going to ship them all out. So we literally had satellite images of hundreds of trucks from all of these bunkers across Iraq, shipping across, driving across into Syria. And so I would always say to people, you want to know what happened to Saddam's WMDs? They went to Syria. So Syria was flooded with chemical weapons. That's why, and that was scooped up by many of the rebels. And then they used it periodically throughout the war against Assad. Now, Assad got many of those chemical weapons too, don't get me wrong. But the fact of the matter is, that's how Syria got flooded with chemical weapons. Plus, by the way, which no one else is mentioning, the Saudis have been secretly sending chemical weapons to the Muslim rebels, the ones opposing Assad. So this notion that somehow only Assad could be the one using chemical weapons, it's bull, you know what? It's bull crap. So they have enough weapons to gas their own people if they want to draw in Western military intervention. So the fact of the matter is, we don't know who used chemical weapons in the town of Douma. And deep down, General Mattis himself doesn't know, if we're being honest. But the CIA wants a war. The War Party wants a war. All of the globalist interests want a war. And by God, remember that famous saying that they used to teach us in the history books, when William Randolph Hearst got the American public to back the war in Cuba, the Spanish-American War. You furnish me the pictures, I'll furnish you the war. Well, then it was newspapers. Today, it's CNN. You show me those children dying of chemical weapons, and you loop it, and you loop it, and you loop it, and you loop it. And within 72 hours, I'll give you any war you want. We are being manipulated and played at every turn. And what breaks my heart is that it's always going to be our boys and girls who have to do the fighting, the bleeding, and the dying. Okay, Charles in Boston, I think we've reestablished connection. Charles, do we have you?
Yes. Jeff,
yes, okay, go, my friend, go.
So, listen, Jeff, so many things to talk about, but as a family of warfighters, and whose blood is continually asked to be spilled for this country, you are right. You and Tucker are taking a courageous stand. Why Trump is trusting the deep state, which is sworn to his being undermined, I have no control, no idea why this is happening. But the other thing I wanted to mention, Jeff, you said we could win a conventional war. I'm not so sure. We are so into the special operations and stuff like that. We're not prepared for the type of conventional battle that will come if we get in a knockdown drag-out with the Russians. And the Chinese want this more than anything in the world, because if the two of us bleed each other, we are in a very bad place with them in the near future. The other thing I wanted to say, you don't have to look far in history, because look at how the Russians fought World War II. The Germans had, and I don't mean this in a bad way, the Germans had technical superiority.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
But they threw, if it's a 20-1 fight, the Russians threw 21. They put men in battle in Stalingrad, unarmed, and said, pick up the gun of the guy next to you who gets shot. We're not ready for that, Jeff. We're not, and we're not ready for the type of casualties that will come from that. This is a deep state undermining Trump in a way he will never recover from. When the first battle happens and America loses 5,000 people in a day instead of over 15 years, he is done. Done. And that's all I have to say about that, Jeff.
Charles,
history
look,
teaches us well.
Brilliant. And Charles, I want to thank you for your service and your family for their service. God bless you. I love you guys. Tom in New Hampshire, you're up next. Go ahead, Tom.
Now, what do I ask you first? There's so much to go here.
Go ahead, Tom. Go ahead.
This is my take on. I'll just address the recent stuff we've been talking about. I'm with you and Tucker on this, and the guy that just called you, I think the deep state's deeply involved. They're going to expend all they can trying to get rid of Trump. And if it goes south with Mueller, they got the deep state. They can take him down, and he goes into a war that's not advised, and they can take him down that way. But I don't know if you ever read a Tom Clancy book called Sum of All Fears. This sounds a lot like that, where nobody knows. They're identifying those chemicals, but nobody knows who has access to them and who perpetrated this act. So that's where I stand on it.
Tom, I'm listening to you, and I'm just thinking, and I want to ask you a question, and I want to ask everybody this question. What is wrong with our political culture and our media, both our political and media elites, that there is a gas or chemical weapons attack literally halfway across the world? It's not like it happened in Canada or in Mexico or never mind the United States, but I'm talking halfway around the world. And the first instinct is fire the Tomahawk missiles, drop the bombs, send in the U.S. Marines. War. What does this say about our country?
Well, what I think about that is who does this
benefit?
Yes, and that's what it is. And you can be sure that Lindsey Graham, if Trump goes in here with this and fires missiles and it goes south there, they're all going to turn around on him in a New York minute.
Bingo.
And take him down that way.
Bingo.
I think he should force the Congress to vote on this.
I agree with you. Tom, great call. Thank you for that call. That's why I'm urging the president. Look, here is my fear, okay? And this is not even original analysis. Pat Buchanan has said it. Others have said it. When Trump came out with that tweet, you remember a couple days ago, where he said, a warning to the Russians and a warning to Putin. The missiles are going to be flying hard, fast, and smart. He's painted himself into a corner. Because what he's now done is he's put his credibility and prestige on the line. He's now told the world, and he's told the Russians, we're going to bomb. You guys are responsible for the chemical weapons attack, and I'm telling you, the missiles are coming. As he put it, hard, fast, and smart. So if he backs down, look what's happened. Now his word has lost a lot of its value. It's lost its meaning. He now comes across as a man of bluff and bluster. So in a sense, he's painted himself into a corner. So now he's almost has to bomb Syria in some ways to back up his word. The other problem, though, is, as all of you are rightly pointing out, if you start bombing, then what? Then you could be sucked into a much larger and a much deeper war. And if that happens, that is going to completely consume and destroy his presidency. So this is why I think Trump got bad advice from the beginning. And I believe ultimately this is a setup. And I think what the deep state is doing, and I think what the establishment is doing, is they know it. Look at it from their point of view. If Trump lobs a few Tomahawk missiles, which is, I hope, all he ends up doing, okay? If we go to war, I hope that's all it is. They're going to say, aha, we forced the president to do something. Look how good we were. But if Trump goes deeper, and if his military pushes him to go deeper, they will turn around and say, hey, I didn't ask for this. Hey, whoa, I didn't say let's go in big and heavy. I never said that. And then they can turn around on him and then use this unpopular war to essentially reduce his presidency to rubble. And just objectively, I want you to think about this, okay? I'm not talking about the merits of the war. I'm just talking about what happens. After the Korean War began in 1950, what happened to Truman? His poll numbers collapsed. Eisenhower ran essentially on peace with honor. What happened to LBJ when he got us into a big land war in Vietnam? His presidency collapsed. Nixon ran on peace with honor. What happened to George W. Bush with the Second Gulf War as we were bled in Iraq? His presidency crumbled. The Democrats took over Congress, and it eventually paved the way for Obama winning in 2008. Major wars are the deaths of presidencies. That's why you only go to a war if you absolutely have to. To the president, Syria will be potentially your political graveyard. Your enemies are setting you up. They're laying out a trap. Don't fall for it. Eddie in Quincy, you're up next. Thanks for holding, Eddie, and welcome.
Hi, Jeff. I agree with you, Jeff, on the declaration of war, but for two reasons. It is the law of the land. But number two, it'll put a delay on this. And hopefully they either find proof or they don't find proof before we do this. And if we do it, these people are going to turn on Trump so fast, like they've already turned on him. And it's just going to be one more thing. Oh, well, we didn't want to do this much. My second point, if Saudi Arabia, Turkey, and the sheiks, if they all want to sign out of there, why don't they do it? They've been buying our weapons for 40 years. They got the same weapons we have. They just don't have American kids pulling the triggers.
Bingo.
They'll have to have their own kids do it. And number three, if we do topple them, if we have to go in there because we find all the proof and everything, okay, let them pay us. That's what Trump was talking about during the campaign. All that work we did in Iraq, and they didn't give us a nickel. Let them pay for it. They got the money, and take all restrictions off our troops. No letting them the other side fire first. If we're going to be the policeman of the world, Jeff, every policeman I know gets paid.
Eddie, thank you very much. Well said, my friend. Jerry on the Cape, you're up next. Thanks for holding. Comrade, how are you, my friend?
Comrade, здравствует. Jeff, there's something everyone's losing sight of here. But first with Syria, when your enemy is nearly defeated and final victory is at hand, use WMDs against your own people so that nations greater than you will intervene and destroy you. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. page. Never. Jeff, something everybody's losing sight of here. If we're occupied with this stupidity, and it is stupidity, look at who the three loudest voices are. The man whose name we do not speak, Marco Rubio, and Lindsey Graham. Okay? But there's something everybody's losing sight of here. May 12th. If the agreement with Iran ends that the deal leader signed, Ali Akbar el-Salehi, the head of the Iranian Atomic Energy Commission, said it would take 4 days to kick it up into full speed, full capacity, and create a deliverable nuclear weapon, which means that he'll hit Israel and he'll hit Riyadh. And that will be it. This is what they're waiting for, Jeff. Everybody's losing sight of the long game here.
Now, how do you think this plays now with the chemical weapons attack in Syria?
Jeff, it was exactly what you said it was. They were made in Germany. Those weapons were made in Germany. They've been stockpiled over there for a long time. And it's funny, the man whose name we don't speak, who's recovering from brain cancer, was over there 3 days before it happened, you know. Did you know that?
Oh, I didn't know that.
He was very quietly over there meeting with the Free Syrian Army.
So McCain, with the brain tumor, managed to fly all the way to Syria, what was it, last week or whenever it was, 10 days ago, to meet with the Free Syrian Army. Incredible.
Jeff, there's a lot more at play here. We're getting sucked in. We're getting sucked in like a vacuum. And the president, I know, is smart enough not to fall for this.
I hope so. From your lips to God's ears, Jerry. Okay, let me ask all of you this. People collecting food stamps, welfare, Medicaid, adults who are able-bodied and healthy, should they be required to work, volunteer, perform community service, and should they be drug tested? Trump says yes. What do you say? We'll have that story. But first, Secretary of State nominee Mike Pompeo doesn't think the president needs to go through Congress to launch strikes on Syria. Evan Heidenrich is in the WRKO newsroom. He has this story. Go ahead, Evan.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
2:36 here on the great WRKO. Jeff Kuhner, Boston's bulldozer, cleaning up the liberal bull. Okay, my friends. So, lost amidst the FBI raid with Mueller's full blessing and consent on Michael Cohen, Trump's lawyer. And, of course, the buildup now to a potential war in Syria. Trump signed a very important executive order Tuesday afternoon. In fact, it's kind of fallen through the cracks. It's gotten very little attention. So, as you know, during the Obama years, essentially Obama reversed welfare reform that was passed in 1996. So, under the dear leader, he gave exemption after exemption to state after state, which used to require that if you collected welfare, if you collected food stamps, if you collected Medicaid, in other words, if you took taxpayer government-funded assistance and you were a healthy, able-bodied adult, you were required to either work, find a job, do voluntary service, I don't know, whatever, community service, clean up parks, clean up highways, maybe you try to engage in job training. But in other words, you weren't just supposed to stay home, twiddle your thumbs, and collect a government check. Obama, to try to foster more government dependency, reversed all of that. Well, Trump issued an executive order saying pretty much I'm ending all of the Obama-era exemptions. And so Trump's executive order now says that welfare reform is going to return as welfare reform. And in particular, here is now what the president's executive order explicitly states, that people on SNAP, essentially food stamps, people collecting Medicaid, people collecting welfare or EBT, those that rely upon taxpayer-funded government assistance, if they are healthy, able-bodied adults, so this doesn't target the elderly, it doesn't target children, it doesn't target the disabled, but those that are, adults, very healthy, they're able-bodied, they're able to work, well, you're not going to get something for nothing. We're not going to pay you to essentially do nothing as you watch Jerry Springer all day or get stoned or watch television or whatever it is you do when you're collecting a welfare check. And so what the goal is to make people independent, to wean them off government dependency. And the irony is, as Trump pointed out in his executive order, and I think on this he's 1,000% correct, we now have almost record low unemployment. In fact, there are now 6 million jobs in the United States that are completely and utterly unfilled. So you have a job market and an economy that is booming, yet as we have record low unemployment, look at this contradiction. We have record high welfare dependency because of the Obama years. And so, as Trump said it, Obama wanted to give people either an unemployment check or a welfare check. I want to give them a paycheck. And so now there's no excuse. The economy is booming. There are plenty of jobs out there, full-time jobs, well-paying jobs. And so there's no excuse now. If you're a healthy, able-bodied person, if you want a job, you should be able to get a job. And what the point of welfare now is to help you transition from poverty into getting a skill or a job, which then enables you to be able to feed your family without relying upon the government to take care of you and your family. So as Trump puts it, I want economic mobility. I want people who are poor to be able to either get the training, the skills that they need, or get the work habits, the work ethic that they need, so they can eventually transition from welfare dependency to actually becoming a functioning, self-reliant citizen in American society. Be a contributing, productive member of society. Furthermore, Trump is actually going even a little bit more. He's saying not only does he want people to show they're getting a job or working or getting job training or doing community service, cleaning highways, cleaning parks, cleaning sidewalks, whatever. He also wants for these able-bodied adults to be drug tested. He does not want our taxpayer money to be used to then be siphoned off for people to, use crack cocaine, heroin, opiates, drugs, whatever. You want to get high, you do it on your dime and on your time, but not on the taxpayer's dime and the taxpayer's time. Now, one final point, and then I want to throw it open to you. 617-266-6868. The reason why I back what's called workfare, welfare reform, is really for two reasons. And I want to be crystal clear about this, because I am a very devout Catholic, and I do believe it is my duty and the duty of all citizens to take care of the poor. What I find outrageous is that not only do you have illegal immigrants scamming the system, but when you have healthy, able-bodied adults who clearly are able to work, but because of sheer laziness, neglect, basically, or they're just taking advantage of people, what they are doing is they are diverting much-needed resources from the truly needy. Because there are children that go hungry in this country. They deserve to be fed. They should be taken care of. There are the elderly that really do need help, and they should be taken care of. There are people who are disabled who should be taken care of. But what's happening is when you have able-bodied, healthy adults who simply refuse to work, that is a form of theft. That's what it is. To me, it is immoral. You are able to work. You can work. You could be a productive, tax-paying, contributing member of society, but you deliberately choose not to work. And with all due respect, you're a parasite. You are actually taking money from hardworking citizens, and essentially it's a form of legalized theft. So you're taking our money, and you get welfare, EBT, health care, food stamps, Section 8 housing, whereby you live and on the backs of other people around you who work to pay for your lifestyle. Well, I'm sorry, but that's immoral. And so I think not only is it immoral, not only does it foster more and more dependency, which is horrible, it destroys people and keeps people trapped in poverty, but it also takes away much needed money from the truly needy who need the money and who need the government assistance. And one final point. I believe in the social safety net. I do. I really honestly do. As a devout Catholic, I believe we should take care of the most vulnerable and the poorest among us. And by the grace of God, there go I. I could be fired tomorrow. Brittany could be fired tomorrow. We could be out on the streets. I will need unemployment. I will need time to get back on my feet. People get into accidents, back problems, back surgeries, whatever, at work. They need time to get back on their feet. People hit hard times. I understand that. That's why I believe in a social safety net. But think about the term, a social safety net. It's a net. When you fall, the net is there to catch you. And then you get off the net, you get back on your feet, and then you're able to function again. What is happening now with our welfare system, especially under Obama, it's no longer a social safety net. It's a freaking jacuzzi. It's a waterbed. You fall and you stay. And you love it so much, you start digging in there, and before you know it, it's become a lifestyle. It's your whole life. Well, I'm sorry. That's not the intent of the welfare state. That's not the original intent of these social programs. And I think not only is it immoral, not only is it abusing the generosity of taxpayers, but it also shafts the truly needy who need these social programs, but there's not enough money for them. So I am for welfare reform all the way. You're getting assistance from the government, fine. But you should either work for it, or you should either get skills or help your community. And you shouldn't be on drugs. I'm sorry, I'm not paying for your drug habit. So let me ask you this. People who are collecting welfare or food stamps or Medicaid, should they be drug tested if they're healthy, able-bodied individuals? And should there be a component whereby they have to work or at least try to get job training or upgrade their skills? In other words, is it time to end welfare as we know it and return it to workfare? 617-266-6868. Lines are loaded. Let's go to Freddie in Beverly. You're up first. Go ahead, Freddie.
Thanks, Jeff. First, I got to say this because Annie forgot to say it for the first time. Jeff, I love you in a non-sexual way. And now about welfare, if you make, and then I want to say something about Syria. If you make people work for welfare, it'll cut down on welfare fraud immediately. And the Bible said, if a man will not work, let him not eat. Okay, now on Syria. You know that it's a false flag if everybody's ready to jump in before they have all their facts, and if they start attacking people who start to question first before they go. How many of our wars have been started with false flags? The sinking of the Maine started the Spanish-American War. Then we had the Gulf of Tonkin that was mentioned. And then we had the weapons of mass destruction. And then the first Iraq War, they had a woman come in who said that the Kuwaiti babies were being taken out of their incubators by the hundreds and put on the floor to die by Iraqi soldiers. And this woman turned out to be a false witness. She was actually the Kuwaiti ambassador's daughter, and the whole story was made up, and they had hired PR firms to encourage people to in America to want to go to war. Most of our major wars have been false flags, and this is definitely a false flag, and we're being taken down the road by these neocons and globalists.
Freddie, very well said, but let me ask you this. I just want to get back on topic for a second. What do you say to the argument, a single mother, say, with 2 or 3 children, she has to take care of her children. She really can't work. Why is Trump forcing her to have to get a job or upgrade her skills? In other words...
I'll tell you that. I got the answer for it.
Okay,
I was raised by a single mother, and she worked 3 and 4 jobs and raised several kids by herself. So it's ridiculous. It can happen, and they can make allowances for these people to have to do whatever they can do. They don't have to make each one of them work on a construction site or work full-time jobs. Have them do whatever they can do.
Freddie, you are on fire today. Thank you for that call, Freddie. Great call. Let's Carlos in Saugus. You're up next. Go ahead, Carlos.
Hi, Jeff. Carlos Hernandez for Congress.us. Jeff.
Welcome, Carlos.
Hi. How are we doing? Look, this is something that we've got to do. I mean, I remember when they first did this stuff, when they actually did the workfare, actually welfare went down big time. I mean, in regards to it, why should a person that's basically working and paying the taxes have to be tested, and these people don't have to be tested? I'm sorry. You know, actually, I'll be honest with you, I've actually one time in my life, when I was bedridden, due to my service-connected, did get food stamp. I had no choice. One time for 3 months. Because in regards to it, that's what they do. They give you the 3 months. My wife asked me, no, because you know what? I believe in working. It was very hard for me to actually take that, but the problem was I was bedridden. So this is the way, you know, this is not a thing where you actually work, get in here, and you are supposed to make a family trail of basically getting from the government for our tax money given to people that basically don't want to do better themselves. Now, training should happen. They can get training if that's what they want. But the thing is, get them to basically where they're doing, where they're actually self-sufficient. This is what we should. That's what the safety net's for. Just to help them, catch them if they fall, to be self-sufficient.
Well, Carlos, that's the point. Look. You're my fellow countryman. You're my brother, because I believe a country is like a family. So we're like an extended family. So, you know, let's just, you know, bring it down to a family level. If your brother or sister, let's say like you, had a very bad back, would you take him in? Would you take care of him? Of course you would. It's your brother. It's your sister. Okay, I need 2 months off, 3 months off, 4 months off to get my back in shape. Okay, fine. But once you're back, fine, honestly, really, it's the right thing to do. That's what a social safety net should be there for. But after 3 months and your back is healthy again, and I see you eating Cheetos and watching television all day, as my wife and I are working and paying the bills, I'd say, hey, whoa, my brother, take it easy. Take it easy. Now, you were ill, you had a bad back, you needed help, we gave you help. But now you gotta pitch in. You gotta do your fair share. I see welfare as the exact same thing. You're down, you're out, it's fine. It can happen to all of us. You should never be ashamed. But once you're better and you're able-bodied, you gotta work. That's the American way. Welfare now, welfare forever. Trump now issues a new executive order saying those collecting food stamps, EBT, Medicaid, if they're adults and able-bodied and healthy, should be required to get a job, work, get some job training, do some kind of community service, and the left is screaming bloody murder. Is it unreasonable to ask people who are living off of taxpayer government assistance, if they're able to work, that they should work? 617-266-6868. I say yes. What do you say? Chris in Marshfield, you're up next. Go ahead, Chris. Did we lose Chris? Okay, Bob in Marblehead, you're up next. Go ahead, Bob.
Yes, Jeff, I concur with everything. Let me throw 2 logs on the fire, as you would say.
Yes.
One is that I would bring back local disbursement of welfare benefits, and definitely drug testing, because here's what's happening. And this is the other lot. People that are on welfare, they go to the food pantries, which gets dispersed for free. So they buy all of their groceries. They're still getting welfare, EBT cards, Section 8 housing, and so forth. So they're scamming the system. But if you put it on local, like people from Salem, they have to go to someplace in Salem, and they have to register, and it puts it on the local level, because most of the people know who the Salem people are, know the people in Marblehead that are certainly needy and deserve the safety net, as you say. But there are other people that they just come in. We have people that come in to the pantries, the food pantries, from out of town.
Incredible.
Which is
incredible.
Okay.
Bob, great call. Great call. Great suggestion. I agree with you. We need to have more local accountability and more checks and balances. And that's why I think Trump's executive order is a really good first start. Okay. I need another hour. I gotta go. Jeff Kuhner.
The Kuhner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services. The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 100.7 WZLX HD2 Boston, an iHeart radio station.